Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order our meeting of the Town Planning Board here Wednesday, April 9th at 7 p.m. at the Fuller Meadows School. A few agenda items on the menu for tonight. First being the approval of minutes from our March 12th, 2025 meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? And if so, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the approval of the minutes for March 12th, 2025.
Thank you, Jason. Do we have a second?
Yep, I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Not on the agenda, but I would like to entertain a motion to make Cheryl a voting member tonight. Even though she's an alternate, she's here. She's dedicating herself to the board. So would anyone like to make Cheryl a voting member for the meeting?
I'll make a motion, make sure I'll vote a voter for tonight's meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
It's official, Cheryl.
Thank you.
You're in.
I feel special.
The next on the agenda, we have an A&R plan, approval not required for a subdivision, even though it technically is a subdivision. It is the right avenue, I believe, Anna had confirmed with legal, for the recertification of a previously approved subdivision. So with that being said, I believe we have representation from the contractor on the project.
Good evening. I've been in front of the board before. My name is Alan Shockett. I'm representing East Street Realty Trust, the owners of the
Owners, I apologize.
property.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've, I haven't been here with good news in a while, so this is a nice change. We've, are ready to move forward to record the missing sections of Ridgewood Estates so that we can connect the road going to the subdivision in the back, which has been on the agenda for a while now. And that's the purpose, is to have the plans endorsed so we can get them at the recorded at the Registry of Deeds and get the road put in.
Perfect. So all of the, has this been resolved in court or outside of court? Where
It's been resolved outside of court.
outside of court.
Yes.
Excellent. And these are the same plans to confirm that that we had certified in 2020? There are no
Yes.
changes, no changes to the plans? And where does development currently stand? Is there a timeline for the project? Or
I know that my client is getting estimates on the road work. I haven't heard that they've settled on a contract yet, but they are hoping to move forward
and this
this
is,
spring.
is this with the same contractor or a separate, different contractor than?
This will be a different contractor.
Very good. And as far as the two, I think there are two phases that remain for the project.
That's correct.
Are there going to be separate tripartite agreements in addition to the existing covenant? I believe in the past we had some type of surety for each phase of the project.
I don't think there's a loan on them right now.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I'm sure there's no loan on them right now.
Okay.
So there's nothing in place.
Is there
As
a
of
plan for surety, though, between the contractor, the Robertos, in the town?
We can certainly create whatever has been done in the past, which
Okay.
I'm not totally familiar with, to provide surety to the town.
Anna, do you remember, was it a surety bond that was?
At one point, there was a tri-party agreement.
We had both the tri-party
Yeah.
agreement and a bond for each phase.
Okay.
I don't have a good record of exactly what time those were put in place because typically we would do that at the definitive approval, but this project, it was not done at the definitive approval. It was done at each phase. So I think we definitely would need to have a contractor in place, especially for the agreement.
Okay.
So at that point, I think would be the time to go forward with that.
Once the contractor has been identified? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
they would need to be included in the
Yeah.
agreement.
Yeah, between the contractor, the owner, and the town. So I think I would be open to it, with that kind of as a not a stipulation, a,
Condition.
yeah, condition of, recertification and approval. That being said, I do have a relationship with, not for this specific project, but with the applicant, so I'm going to recuse myself from a vote, but I will entertain a motion.
Just to offer this for the board, the way that we would recertify this is to specifically note that the definitive approval granted in 2016 has not been modified, amended, or rescinded, nor the plan changed. So that should be included in the motion. I also wanted to ask for, I think that you brought an certificate showing
Yeah.
that.
Just
that-
what you mentioned.
Yes, that all of that has been true and certified by the owners, and so I think the board would probably want to see that.
We have any other questions for Attorney Shockett or comments?
I'm gonna make a motion to recertify.
Would you like to?
Modified definitive plan and incorporate the 2016 amendment, that it was not amended, modified, or to be changed.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Would you like to include any conditions?
We would not be able to include a
Can't
condition.
condition in A&R?
No.
Okay. So we have Cheryl making the motion. We have a second as well through David. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I abstain, so it passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
I think I need
Yeah.
a handwritten,
typically, write
plan.
directly on the plan, if we can just write a certification, and then the board signs, everyone who voted signs, so that
that'll allow
there's
me to
a,
get it recorded at the registry.
yeah.
Perfect.
We can take a minute to do that now. Yep.
Is that the Mylar, or that's for the ZBA recommendation?
That's the old, he's got
He has the
he's got
Mylars.
his Mylars right there.
Yep.
Sure.
motion.
Sure. Can I see that, what I reviewed, just so I can make sure I have the correct language?
Yeah, I can also,
Yeah, actually, the language is already on.
Is it? Oh,
From back in
perfect.
2020.
Nice. Make it nice and easy. Do you have a Sharpie? Does it have to be with a Sharpie?
Better with a Sharpie.
Would be better, right?
Yeah, this one has the same language.
And it, does it talk about the agreement, the 2016 agreement in here as well? Is that incorporated? Okay,
It's on the top.
perfect. Perfect. I only have purple, and I don't think you want me to sign it in purple.
She's gonna go try to find one right now.
Perfect.
Purple will do. It's okay.
I don't think anybody else wants to sign it in purple.
I'm fine.
Whatever color you got, it's gonna
Yeah,
work.
whatever works.
Yep.
sorry, I
I
didn't
only
have
have purple with this. Is terrible. I should have black, but we can either do,
I know, I almost always.
I have a pen or a purple marker. What do you prefer? Purple marker or blue pen?
Let's go with the purple.
Okay.
Sharpie. I think
So on the
it's-
record, he
It's gonna
requested
drop.
it.
I'm happy with
It's gonna come out better than the pen.
Yeah, I think so.
Where should we just sign
Wherever we
here?
can fit it.
Yeah, if we can,
Is
yeah.
there, yeah, my
Maybe
my
up here.
subdivision's up here, so down here is a good place.
Okay, just sign in planning board in today's date?
Yep, so basically,
Am I
this is
rewriting that whole thing? or-
Not quite exactly the same. You can just start with the planning board for the town of Middleton. Hereby certified.
Thankfully, you have great handwriting.
God, I don't.
Yeah.
Is there anything?
It's okay.
It's like changing colors.
That the approval of this plan has not been modified.
Good thing I'm not doing that, you wouldn't be able to read it.
Comma, amended. Or rescinded. Nor the plan changed. Yeah, and then we'll just do the 4 signatures underneath. And,
The date?
yeah, I was gonna say maybe put the date there. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Appreciate that.
That's it. Have fun with that.
So to pass it around, I just go up and sign it. David, who do you sign that? Yep.
What's that?
Oh,
yeah.
You hear that all the time.
All right, whatever, son. Just.
Yeah, right into there.
Great, thank you.
I don't think I'll ever leave my house without a black Sharpie, ever.
That's great, yeah.
Perfect, I think that's it.
One down, one
Okay. One more to go. Am I writing the same thing?
down. Same thing. Just like it was over here. And as I say, our land is up here, so down here.
Okay. Perfect.
What's that?
Where are they gonna put it?
Thank
Behind the
you.
house. It shows that, I think this is the garage here, and it looks like they're adding it behind the house, like here. No setback issues, it's a,
Yeah. So they definitely don't have it up front.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Yes. Did you leave a copy of the affidavit? Did you leave the copy of the affidavit with the board?
The thing I drafted?
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Okay.
I left it.
Do you need a copy?
It's okay.
Okay.
It's not.
I'm happy to send you a PDF.
That's great.
looks like they already got approved for the septic too.
Yeah, that's already
It's
been
going from
approved.
1,500 to 2,000.
Yep.
All right, next on the agenda, we have a ZBA recommendation for 38 Boston Street, site plan approval for an attached accessory dwelling unit. As we know, the state has made ADUs a by right use, but according to the bylaw that we had reviewed and put in place, we do have the opportunity to do a site plan review, just to make sure that it, still meets all the setback requirements, meets the character of the neighborhood, doesn't create any traffic issues, things like that, has adequate parking. Don't believe the applicant is here, but in reviewing it, the application, I see that they have already received approval for a larger septic, and they need an addition to the septic, so it's to accommodate the 5 bedrooms according to the plan. And this is off of Boston Street, and the ADU is actually going to be behind the house, so it doesn't look like it's even going to be visible from the road. Behind the house existing, there's patios and pavers, which leads directly to a pool area. So according to the plot plan, it looks like it's going to be directly adjacent and attached to the back of the existing house that was built in 2020. And have you had any communication with the applicant, any communication with other departments on this one that would be relevant?
Yeah, we reviewed this with the staff a few days ago, and overall, looking good. The one comment from public safety was around making sure that there's a clear route to the door of the ADU, obviously the separate door, just making sure that in the case of emergency response, they would be able to clearly find their way to the correct unit. And the other thing that I haven't settled yet, but will be soon, hopefully, is settling on numbering for this particular unit. There aren't any extra numbers on the street, so I'm not sure.
38A and B?
It may be A and B, it may be Unit 1, Unit 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that hasn't been determined yet, but those were a couple things that came up in our review. Like you mentioned, they've already asked for and are planning to increase their septic. And this particular lot, there's plenty of parking, so that isn't much of a concern for us.
Plenty of parking, it looked like. The front is pretty much all paved in kind of that U-shape driveway.
Yeah, and the other thing, like you mentioned, you likely won't be able to see it from the street, but they have blended it into the house pretty well, the design.
It is within the allowable square footage, so the maximum allowable square footage is 900. It looked like this was 816 square feet based on the permit plans. And it looks like this is a 1-story ADU.
is.
Kitchen, living room,
Correct.
1 bed, 1 bath.
It's on the lower level, and I think the plans show a deck.
Yep. 2 means of egress, 1 from the living room, 1 from the bedroom.
How close does that put it to the pool?
Looks like it would run right to about here.
It's 29 feet.
Okay.
Thank you, Jason.
Right off the top of his head. I know, just
Look at the plans right there.
Yeah, I don't know what not that it impacts our vote and our purview on it. I don't know what their use is for it, what the occupancy will be, whether it's family, relatives, or whether they plan to, put it up for rent. They should definitely be aware that a rental unit with a pool in the back poses some significant liability issues. The insurance person to me would caution them to carefully consider the use for it, but I don't see any issues with the site plan at all. So with any recommendation that we make to the ZBA, this one we can include conditions, right? We can recommend that one of the conditions be, what did you mention with the emergency response? That it be clearly marked, if a call comes in, that they know whether it's the ADU or the main house?
Yeah, so it would be, the address would need to be clearly marked at the street, and also at the door of the dwelling. And there would need to be a clear walking path from wherever right now in the plot plan, I'm not sure that there's landscaping shown around to the door of the dwelling.
There's obviously gonna be a pathway there too, right?
Yep.
Going through the fence.
From a runoff standpoint, I see that they do plan to tie it into the existing infiltration system with through gutters. Would anybody care to make a motion for a recommendation?
I'll make a motion to accept it as is with conditions. The conditions that we talked about, the property be marked clean, the walkway is clear and free of any obstructions for first responders to be able to access it
Thank
when
you.
needed.
So Cheryl made a positive recommendation with conditioned upon free and clear access to the ADU entrance for emergency response.
I'll second that.
Jason seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Review project plan for North Main Street corridor study.
Okay. So, one of the things that the town has a earmark for right now is to do a corridor study of the northern corridor, North Main Street, to be defined exactly what that will look like, but likely the town's border down to maybe somewhere a little bit north of the town center, and generally the corridor plan. This one has a kind of a focus on economic development, so more than looking at the roadway, we'd be looking at the zoning in the area, the mix of businesses that we currently have, along with the mix of other uses, residential. There's a few public uses in that area, and so all of that would kind of be included in this type of study. So there's two things I wanted to bring before you all. One is typically this falls under the purview of the planning board. I have a thought that it might be valuable to put together a little bit more of a diverse working group to support the study, taking a little bit of the weight off of you all for kind of seeing this through, and also obviously I would be seeing it through as well. But in terms of kind of getting input and public insight, engagement along the way, one thought that I had was to put together a working group that might include maybe a member of the planning board, a member of the select board, a member of the ZBA, and potentially a few public representatives, residents and or business owners who live on the corridor or have a business on the corridor, to act as kind of like a guiding group through the process of the study. Often it's just a helpful way to test out some of the messaging before we launch a public meeting and get a little bit more of focused insight. So that's the first thing that I wanted to just see how you all felt about that. That would be a group that I would manage, and with the support of a consultant who will be hopefully hiring to support the project. The other option would be, if we feel like that's not worth the time, then I would bring those sort of things to the board as they come up and let you all sort of make those decisions. That wouldn't replace at all open public meetings. We would still have open engagement, probably a survey, and definitely a few public forums. So that's the first thing I wanted to get a couple thoughts on.
I agree with the committee. I think you're right. I think the ZBA, the select board, and a couple of at-large community. I do have a question on, once we get this report from the contractor, whoever's selected, what's the intent on action behind it? So they're going to tell us, these are some feasible zoning or development opportunities or businesses that would fit for what we have. From there, do we go out and do we start soliciting businesses to potentially move into Middleton, or say we don't have enough Dunkin' Donuts, we probably need another Dunkin's on 114 and put one there?
Yeah.
What's the goal, I guess, once we get the study completed and once we get the report from the contractor?
I would typically recommend that we have the report focus on actions that the town can take. So those would be policy changes and zoning changes. So likely that would, to me, those would be some of the priority things we would look at. For zoning changes, this hopefully, in my ideal plan, this would run concurrently with our greater zoning review, so that if this were to make any recommendations around zoning, those could be looked at by the other group that's going to be really focused on zoning and considered. And if, rather than, I don't expect a proposal, or rather the power of a zoning change to come from this would more be the conversation around it with a recommendation that would then be picked up by the other zoning group to be carried forward. And then in terms of policy, some of the things that might be of consideration in a corridor could be around maybe any sort of incremental financing or any sort of marketing or kind of a focused approach to sort of, I don't want to say rebrand, I think that would be too strong, but to frame the area as, this is the kind of thing that the town really sees, and that the voices, what I'm hoping for this is that we really can hear some community voices to be speaking and saying, this is what we want to see here. Yeah, so that might have like a downstream effect on who might be interested in moving there. There's a couple parcels that we might hone in on for those type of things. There's been, I know a lot of history around the Candlelight Motel and what to do with that location, and so kind of doing a deep dive on some of those properties could be part of this as well. But everything that would come out of it would be ultimately a recommendation that hopefully the town would be able to take some action on.
Okay. I think it's important also too that whoever's on the committee, give a lot of feedback to the contractor selected. So for example, the contractor could easily come up with, hey, one great economic development plan is to extend sewer from North Andover to Middleton and build high-density housing on 114 to match what is right across the line on North Andover. We already know that won't fly. So I think, being upfront and honest with the contractor on what our townspeople want and what they're looking for versus what could be is important too.
Definitely.
Anyone want to volunteer to be on that committee for the planning board?
I wish I could.
If not, I will do it. Is the plan to meet once a month with the contractor and then be involved in the community engagement part of it when they're doing the study to,
It would probably be at most once a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
count me in.
Thanks.
I have not heard anything next agenda item, 3A zoning. I've not heard anything recently on a response from the EOHLC to our letters or Middleton's standing as a designated community within the MBTA zoning law. So I guess we're still in a wait and see period.
How long was it before that they got back to you on the first time we sent something?
Right away.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty quick. I think it was within a couple of days they had responded and said, yes, thank you, we'll put this in our public input.
Now, with so much going on, it seems like they're just, there's probably too many other things to tackle, right?
I think so, and I think they're probably waiting to see, I know we're not the only town, I think last I had checked, there was 5 or 6 other towns that had filed for legal relief.
There's 8.
8 now? So,
I looked it up before the meeting, there's 8 towns.
nice. So we'll see, I don't know what they're, I think they're kind of standing on the unfunded mandate part of it, which is what we had submitted, but then we're also attacking it from a different prong too, saying that, we think you mapped us wrong.
Yeah, and I think we all agreed at the time that by sending that letter, it's at least showing that, hey, we're trying to do something here, right?
Yep. So we'll formally be out of compliance in July, at which time, we'll see what happens at that point. So we may very not hear anything until July.
Yeah.
Actually, just a correction on that. So they did not accept our interim plan that we submitted in February as a plan. So we are currently out of compliance, formally.
Thank you. So we'll wait and see on that one. Next on the agenda is our May meeting date. I already know that I cannot be here on the 14th of May. So if we can certainly move it, but if other people think that the 14th is good and want to keep it. Jason is the vice chair.
I'm on vacation from the 16th till after Memorial Day, so it would have to be after Memorial Day. Or we just cancel the May meeting, just go right to June.
I think I'm out the week of May 20th, so the following week.
That's the long weekend, the holiday
That's a long
weekend,
weekend,
so
yeah.
I'm sure a
I
lot
think
of
we should
people
just
move it to June.
move it to June. Unless something comes up, President, we have to do it, but I think, excuse me, we should just, everybody's doing vacations and not gonna be around, it's not gonna be. and-
There's nothing on my radar that would be timely. We haven't gotten any applications for that meeting.
Yeah, I think we should just,
I also think people probably in May are going to be focused on the town meeting, right, too? So there's not going to
Correct.
be a
right.
ton coming at us. So I'm good with that if,
Yeah, we have May elections, we have town meeting, we have everything. I think May we should just, I think we should push out to June.
I'm good with that. All right. So we have a motion and all in favor of skipping next month and going right to June.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anything that we didn't hit on, Anna?
No.
Awesome. Well, I will adjourn our meeting.